All right. Hey, everyone. We're going to be starting shortly. And today's going to be a fun one. I've got a few things I want to showcase today. And we're going to build this website here. It's a free Figma landing page. And we're going to do some parallax animation and just have some fun with some of these different elements on this Figma file, in this Figma file. So again, I'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone. This is John from WebDev for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code in Webflow. These live streams happen every Monday through Thursday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. We cover everything from how to build in Webflow, how to build interactions and animations in Webflow, and I also provide support. If you need help with your website, you can ask me a question. If it's about your personal project, you can drop a super chat and I can look into your personal project and help you with a specific issue you might be having with Webflow. Hello, Bill Fazal. Hope you had a great weekend. Excited for the stream to learn something new. Yes, this is going to be a great stream. Hope you had a great weekend as well. I'll go ahead and get started. So in last week's live stream, I think it was Thursday or Friday, I went over creating this animation here. And let me go ahead and change the color of these buttons because they're a little kind of obnoxious, this red here. I'll just make them kind of gray. But yeah, we'll cover this animation in today's video. And it's basically... This animation was a lot of fun to build, and it's much simpler than you might think. So it goes like this. Actually, it's not that simple because we're going to use custom code, but basically we're using CSS clip paths. So last week I created this animation in After Effects using masks in After Effects, but the thing with that is that Safari doesn't handle masks very well, so it looked really bad on in Safari. So I looked more into, this animation was inspired by this cold drops animation, which is right here. And basically I was trying to recreate this. Okay, so I'm pretty close. I'm pretty much there. We can see this is the site that I've built, and basically what we're doing is we're using clip paths. And if I look at the site in Safari, it looks really good in Safari as well, where I'm not going to showcase what the previous SVG looked like in Safari, but let's just say it was very choppy in Safari using a Lottie animation or JSON animation. This is the animation here, and I'm going to create an entire video tutorial once I've refined the design of this and made it look a little bit cleaner and selected some more interesting images, I would say, or not interesting, but images that go together pretty well. This is going to be interaction 154, so I'll create a single video on how to do this. But while we're here in the live stream and while everyone's trickling in, I'll go ahead and just showcase how I did this. And basically, so I'm using the swiper.js slider because I had swiper.js is a custom code slider, and it goes over how to use it. Here, let me find it. Get started. If we click on get started, it shows us the structure of the slider. So basically, you need a div block with the class name swiper, then another div inside of this div called swiper wrapper, and then you add the slides inside the swiper wrapper. So, swiper, and they have the class name swiper slide. So in Webflow, if you've built with Webflow, that same structure can be created using div blocks and using the navigator here. So here I added swiper, the swiper wrapper, and then in the swiper wrapper I added these three slides, and I set the position to absolute and full. just because we're working with a full viewport slider. So I just decided to fill the entire viewport, and I made the swiper, the parent swiper element, 100 VH, so it's in the entire viewport. Yeah, I added the swiper wrapper, made it position absolute and full, and all the slides are positioned absolute and full, so they cover the entire browser. Okay, so that's the structure of swiper, and then it goes on. So if we look at the documentation, we can import swiper using a CDN. So right here, use swiper from CDN. And this is how we want to use any scripts in Webflow. We want to grab it from the CDN so that, so we don't add the full script in Webflow, because Webflow only handles 10,000 characters in the custom code in each section. So right here, we have the CDN, we have the CSS sheet, style sheet, which we can just grab and place this in the head section. And then we have the script that goes right before the body tag in Webflow. So we just grabbed these two links. So if I go into the page settings in here, you can see I've added the style sheet, and actually the style sheet should be the first thing right up here. So we just placed this style sheet up here, and then we grabbed the swiper bundle min.js and we placed it before the body tag. Okay, so now we have access to swiper, and we can create a slideshow using swiper. And then we have to add the specific code, and let's see if it shows here. Yeah, so we added, here's the code you want to add within a script tag in Webflow. So it's constant swiper, new swiper. This can be any name here. This constant can be any name, but I just left it swiper. And then you select the class for swiper, which is swiper here. And then you set the direction if you want it to loop, if you want pagination, and the previous and next buttons. For this specific case, I only needed vertical and loop to be true. So if we go back in here, and the speed, I set the speed to 700. So we see I initiated the swiper slider. So all the code is right here. So I set the direction vertical. I wanted it to loop, and the speed 700 milliseconds. All right. So then I added this piece of code, and I'll get to this in a sec. So again, I'm not going to go too in depth in this live stream as far as like how I built it, because it's going to be a separate video. But basically, I needed to add a click delay to the previous and next arrows, because the way the animation works is once you click, the animation plays and then the slide moves up. So I needed to add a click delay of 700 milliseconds. So once you click, then the click registers and moves the slide up. So 700 milliseconds and then the slide moves. All right. So that's this code here, this timeout code. And yeah, once the project is clonable, you can just clone the project and follow along the tutorial I'll be creating, and you can just use the custom code that I've placed in here. All right, so that's adding the slider. The next thing is working with clip paths. Hello, better late than never. Yeah, welcome, Joseph. Welcome. So we're just going over this animation that I've created here. Similar to this code drops animation. And I'll be creating a specific video on how to do this, but right now I'm just going over a quick overview of how I did it. But I'll be creating an entire video from beginning to end, with exactly everything I did to create an effect like this. So this type of slider. And I'll be using different images, because what I like about the code drops slider, there's the focus of the subject is on the right. So you see all the people are on the right, which makes the effect even better because you see the face in the circle. So I'll be finding images where the focus is more on the right, rather than these abstract images where when the circle goes in, you don't really see anything in the circle. So I'm just going over how I built this. I went over the slider part. The next part is the actual clip path. So to get this animation, and I'm gonna be having so much fun with clip path because it's such an amazing technology, or such an amazing feature in CSS, that I want to showcase more on how to use it, because it's actually not that hard. This CSS path is this line of code right here. So we have swiper slide clip path, and it's CSS. So to each individual slide, I applied this clip path. And if we go to Clippy, and this is where you can create your clip path. So I want to create a circle. And so initially I want the circle to be small. Let me see here. So I'll just put the outside circle here, or the radius, I believe. So, oh wait, let me center that. Or let me try it. Let me select the circle again. There we go. All right, so initially I want the circle to be smaller, so I can do something like this, and then I can move it to the right. And then we notice right here, these are the properties of the clip path. So right now the circle is, I'm gonna say 20% in, is it diameter, or yeah, 20% in size, we'll say like that. And then the position is at 7350. So what I did is I just took these measurements and I said, okay, when the circle is 15, I want this to animate to 15, and then at 7550, so it's 75 or 80% to the right and 50% within the middle of the canvas. And then I want it to animate to, I think I set it to like 80 or something like that. So it goes from 15 to 80. It was something like that. But if we look at here, yeah, so I started the circle at 80%. So it initially starts at 80%. So picture this space here is the circle. Like the space where we can see the image, that's where the clip path is cropping the image, basically. And you can just picture the circle right here, right? And then I animate it in, so the circle gets smaller. So the way we animate that is, well, the way I animated this. Hey John, I'm out for dinner tonight, so I cannot join, but we'll tune in tomorrow again. For sure, Manuel. Enjoy your dinner. No worries. It's very cool that you come to my sessions and my live chats. So yeah, just enjoy the dinner, and yeah, we'll catch up for sure. So yeah, the way I animated that clip path is with GSAP, which is Greenstock, and it's a custom code animation script, and it's super powerful, and it has some of the cleanest, smoothest animations I've ever seen out of any scripts. The only two scripts that the two scripts that I find the best for animations and I really, really like are anime.js. So I'll quickly showcase that. Anime.js. I've done some really interesting stuff with this, and I'll showcase some of that stuff that I've done with anime.js. And it's just super smooth. Anime.js is just super smooth. The script is easy to use, and there's just so much you can do with it. So I'm super excited. There's actually a project I'm going to be creating with anime.js, and that'll be down the line, but I'll announce it when it's available. And then we have greenstock.com, and Greenstock is just like the standard modern web animation, thing or script. And you can create mind-boggling animations with GSAP. It's called Greenstock, but it's the short name is GSAP. All right, so I animated the clip path with GSAP. So I added the CDN script here from JS Deliver. You can find it from any, from CDN JS, or let me shut off my phone here. But yeah, so I included the script, and right down here, if I scroll down, this is the script that animates the clip path. So basically I said, when we click on the left arrow or the right arrow, and then I called the slide. So I selected the swiper slide, and then I selected the left and right arrow, and then I created a timeline. So I said, when we click on any of these arrows, I want the clip path to go to 15%. So it goes from 80% to 15. So it gets smaller. The position stays the same. I added a duration of 0.7 seconds and a specific easing of ease and out. And then the next animation goes back to 80% after a delay of 0.7 seconds. So if we look at that here in the animation, we click, it animates to the circle, and there's a 0.7 second delay because the slide is moving. Well, we added a delay of 0.7 to the slide. So it animates in, the slide moves up, and then on the next slide, the circle expands. All right, so that's just a quick overview. I know that's probably kind of a lot. Yeah, and so here I said, I called the left arrow and I said on click, restart the animation. And that's how we can restart the animation every time we click on the previous and next arrows. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm saying that's basically it, but I did cover a lot there. But I just wanted to quickly showcase how I achieved this effect. And I'll definitely be designing this a lot better. I'll be using some cool arrows for the previous and next buttons. All of that can be designed in Webflow. And I'm gonna grab some arrows from like a arrow pack. And yeah, I think that might be it for that. That's all I wanted to cover today. Yeah, but Clip Path is super cool. You can use any shapes and like animate anything, and just create like different vector paths, and they'll just crop an image. And if we look at the support for Clip Path, I think it's pretty wide. I think a lot of browsers support Clip Path. Let's just see, Clip Path CSS property. I might be wrong here. maybe not. Okay, most of them support it, but there's partial support refers to supporting shapes and the URL syntax for inline SVG, but not shapes in external SVGs. We're not using SVG, so I think these yellows could be mostly supported. So yeah, Chrome supports it, Safari supports it, Firefox supports it. Yeah, so most major browsers do support it. IE does not support it. So that's just something to note there. But Edge does, and hopefully we'll start seeing less of IE. We can see the global usage is 0.75%. That's still a lot. The global usage of Firefox is 0.02. I'm wondering if I'm reading these global usages correctly. In any case, I do think a lot of browsers do support it. IE does not, but Edge does. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, I kind of want to like showcase how to build it now because it's just so fresh in my mind at the moment. But I think this effect deserves its own video and definitely a bit more design focus there. All right, so yeah, that was a lot of fun. So let's go ahead onto building. Again, as I'm building, if you have any questions, please post them in chat. I haven't built this layout before, so it's going to be a bit of an experiment. We are going to learn quite a bit with some of these different elements, layouts. Yeah, with these different elements, how we decide to do the layout. And yeah, so I'm excited to jump in. Yeah, let's do it. All right, so I have a blank project here. And let me close some of these tabs. And I'll just close that for now. And yeah, I'll close this, and this. All right, cool. Very nice. Hopefully, yeah, I think my email showed a little bit, but I don't have anything interesting there. Cool. So the first thing I'm going to do, because it's just going to be fun, is create a parallax effect with this first section up here. So I'm going to export this background. No, not that background. Let's find it here. Background, right here, this HG image. I'm going to export it as PNG. Let's just take a look at it. And yeah, so that's perfect. So whoever created this like did some good Photoshop work. All right, then we have these mountains. That looks good. I'm gonna export, and actually let me export it as 2 times. Let's see, export. So we can add it as high DPI. And I'll delete this one, and let's re-export it as 2x. Okay, that looks good. And this bottom piece here, VG. Okay. So we can look at these images, and we can see they're all nicely cropped. So that's probably one of the hardest parts, is cropping images to make them look really cool in Webflow, or to create interesting effects. All right. So there we go. We have those 3 images. Cool. So let's drag and drop them into Webflow. John, can you teach me how to create this animation in Webflow with scroll word below it? With scroll word below it. Do you mean how they did in CodeDraw? Yeah, that's one. I'm gonna add that animation as well in the final project. So here, when we go to the next, we can see the text changes as well. So I'll be adding this animation along with the circle. I'm not sure if that answered your question. I don't know what you mean by scroll word below it. All right. Very cool. So yeah, let's go ahead and start building. Let me turn hiding on. All right, cool. So let's take a look at this here. So we have this section. All right. Yeah, let me just build out these mountains and see how we go. All right, and then we'll add content after we built out this background section. Okay, so I'm gonna hit Command K to add different sections. You can also go to the Elements panel, click Add, and add a section. So I'll hit Command K, add a section, and we'll just call this Hero Background Section. Okay, and I'll go ahead and add those assets that we downloaded from Figma. And this is the link which shows animation on CodePen, and I want to know if we can do it in Webflow. Yeah, so chat doesn't allow links to go through a bill, so you have to either type the link with spaces or send me an email with the link. I prefer if you could type it with spaces so I can see within chat what you're referring to. All right, so let me add these 3 images right in here. And they might be large. I didn't compress them. Let me see. Yeah, they're large. Let me view it as a list. And oh, those are way too big. No way. So let's compress them. They're still going to be very big, but I'm just going to compress them here. So I'm using compresspng.com to compress them. And they're very large. Nice. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Yeah, I spent most of my weekend, not most of it, but a good amount of time figuring out the animation I just showed, because I initially was working with it in SVG, and I looked at it in Safari and I was like, no way, that is not gonna fly. And then I looked up, Safari doesn't support Lottie masks well. So that's when I looked at clip path and we used the clip path animation there. Okay, so these images are still too large. Yeah, way too large. Okay, so I'm going to resize all of these to, so let me select them here. Tools, adjust size. I'm gonna say 1920. Click OK, and then save. So 1920 is just like a 16:9, I think, aspect ratio. Oh man, they're still too large. Tools, adjust size. Yeah, still very big. Okay, let me compress them one more time. This part is actually really important because too often I find sites with really large images, and that can really affect the load time of a site, and nobody wants that. So I do try to keep my images around 300 kilobytes. Oh, so this might be better. We can see it compressed it a lot more. All right. Okay, this is not bad. So we might get to like maybe the 600 kilobyte area. So let's see, compress, did it download? Okay, show in Finder. Okay, here we go. Let's look at it now. Okay, not bad. 7. One of them is still too large, but that's what we have to work with. So let's go ahead and add it. All right, I can see viewers are trickling in. Welcome everyone. I'll go ahead and give my intro. Welcome to my live stream. The live the live stream is every Monday through Thursday from 12 p.m. Central to 1 p.m. Central, and we cover everything from how to build a site in Webflow, how to build animations and interactions in Webflow, and I also provide support via the super chat function in YouTube. So if you have a question about your personal project, if it's anything related to Webflow in general, I'll definitely answer it. But if it's related to your personal project, just feel free to drop me a super chat, and I can take a closer look at your project and help with anything related to the project and Webflow. All right, cool. So that took a moment. We did want to make sure the images were a good size. We don't want to add really large images. So right now we're rebuilding this site here. So cool. So let's go ahead and add the first background image. Do I want to add it as a background image or as an image? That's a good question. I'm going to add it as an image. Hello, Omkar. Can you just quick recap of what happened? Just joined. Yeah, so I'm basically building this site here, and I've just exported the images, and I also showcased this project that I'm working on, and I'm going to be creating a specific video just for this animation. And I went over, after the session, you can just go to the beginning of the video. I gave a quick overview of how I built this, but I will be building a full, or like one that's fully designed, and I'll be creating a video on how to do it, like step by step and everything like that. But at the beginning of this video, I just went over a quick intro. I heard somewhere that we should use SVG as they are low in size and responsive for images and icons. Would you recommend that? Absolutely, yes. For icons, I absolutely recommend SVG. And depends on the image. If it's a vector image, then yes, I absolutely recommend SVG. Vector images are just images that are paths. So like anything that's not a photo or anything like that you build in Illustrator or any vector tool, I would recommend exporting it as SVG. There's many benefits to SVG in that like you can make it as large as you want and you don't lose any quality in the SVG, and you can make it as small as you want and you don't lose any quality. So highly recommend SVG for any vector graphics like icons and illustrations. All right, so let me add the sky here. I'm going to add it as an image. That looks good. And for the fill, let's just say cover. All right. So we have the sky. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to relabel it here. I'll call it sky or sky image. Sky image. Then I'll go ahead and add this next section. Wait, let me look at the site here. It looks like the mountain man is in both images. This could cause some issues. Let me go ahead and add this. And I'll place it below here. And actually, no, I want to add, never mind that one. I'm going to add this one. Oh no, he's cropped out perfect. All right, cool. So we have the sky and we have this image. Oh, this is quite interesting. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to call this, this is kind of the midground. So I'm going to call this mountains image. Oh, thank you, Omkar. Appreciate it. Appreciate the super chat. John, can you take a look at the link I mentioned above? Abil, the link needs to have spaces in it. It doesn't come through in the chat. So I actually can't see the link. I don't know if you can see it on your end, but it doesn't come through when I'm looking at it. Yeah. So props, Omkar. Appreciate the super chat. Cool. So we have the mountain image. So what I can do for the mountain image is just give it some negative margin to line it up with the sky there. All right. That looks good. And then we'll add the last image, which is this one here of the, what should we call this? Grass image. And I'll add some negative margin here. We'll just line it up. All right. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm gonna see if I don't really like that this middle image is cropping out the guy here. There's a few reasons for that, because it's gonna affect how we animate this. Because I did want to create like a parallax situation with it, where the background or the middle ground, these mountains and this grass are moving at different speeds to create a really unique effect. You can change. Oh, let me check that out. Let's see. You can change chat settings to allow sending links. So let me see. Can I do that now? May not be visible. I do see a setting, but I can't quite access it right now. Couldn't the parallax be vertical? Yeah, I think that's the idea, is to make it vertical. So yeah, but if we're gonna do it that way, then we wouldn't need to use interactions. Like basically what I could do here for the sky image is set it to a position of fixed, and then bring the other elements to the front. So I would set this to relative. No fixed. Yeah. No, I would set it to sticky. I think sticky might be the, because we can see it kind of messed up our layout a little bit. So I will set this to position sticky. So let me try that. Position sticky. And I think 0 from the top. and then I would bring these elements to the front. No, I still don't see it. Can you guys see the link? No, I can't. Can you send an email to, I'll send you the email link. Just send me an email, John Edwin. Yeah, sorry about that, Bill. I'm not sure. I'll make sure that links are enabled. Let me see, enable links in YouTube chat. Just gonna do a quick search here. Yeah, I'll look into that, but just go to webdevforyou.com and the contact page, and just send me the link via the contact page, and I'll take a look. I was told to fix my form. I needed to, hey, you would need to add input hidden and save there a budget amount, but got no clue how to do it. Joseph, yeah, if you want to send me a read-only link to your project, if you don't mind everyone seeing it, or you can email me your project, and if you want me to take a closer look, you know, we can do a super chat for that as well. You need to add input hidden and save there a budget amount. Not quite sure what that's in reference to. Okay, so let me bring this mountain image to the front. So I'm going to set it to a position of relative. Okay, so it brings it to the front. The grass image, I'm going to set it to relative as well. Okay. All right, so here what we can see happening, we scroll and the sky stays in place, but the mountain moves up. Jintel, thank you. Oh, that's super awesome. Appreciate it. Nice. Oh, okay, let me check my Gmail. Yeah, gently, Jintel, if you had any question, yeah, let me know. I super appreciate that. Cool. So, explained higher up the chat. Okay, let me read it. All right, so I don't see anything, Joseph, about your specific project or what you need help with. If you want to just explain again, the links are not coming through. I'd probably have to enable something, but I haven't enabled anything. Yeah. But I'll definitely look into that for sure. I've sent you the mail. Okay, so Abil sent an email, so let's take a look. All right, just waiting for it to come through. And it hasn't come through yet. All right. Yep, don't see anything yet. Cool. So while we're waiting for that, oh, I think I just got it. Yep. Cool. So let's see. So Bill, hey, hello John. So I wanted to know if we can animate mouse icon in Webflow with the word scroll written below it. Okay, let's take a look. So Bill is referring to this code pen. And I want to know if we can animate mouse icon in Webflow with the word scroll written below it. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I would do this in, yeah, let's do this real quick. Cool. So Abil, I think you did send a super chat, so we can definitely, oh, okay. Yeah, I think this would be a super chat, Abil, because this is like it's like a very custom thing, but I'm tempted to do it anyways because it's only a few steps. Yeah, so let's just quickly build this. So let me just add a new page. This one's on the house, Abil. I don't know. So mouse interaction or mouse animation, I should call this, but yeah, it's okay. Let's just call it mouse animation, and we'll add a section. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jintel. 100 VH for the section size, and we'll give it a background color of 181818. All right, so for that mouse animation, so Abil is referring to this here, this animation. I'm gonna make it super big so we can all see it clearly. And yeah, so for this, I'm gonna set the flex setting for the section to center, and then I'm gonna add a div block, and let's make it 300, no, 100, or let's say 200 by 400. Okay, so there's gonna be our mouse, and maybe our mouse isn't that tall, so 300 by 200. And I'm gonna add a border, set the border to white, and add a border radius of, let's say 50%. Nope, 50 pixels. Let's do 100 pixels. Okay, so that's starting to look like a mouse. And let's give it 3 pixels for the border, and I'll make it a little bit taller, maybe 350. So it's about, yeah, it's almost a 1:2 aspect ratio there for the width and the height. Hello, Hanan, what's up? Cool. So yeah, so in here, all we have to do is add that dot. So let's see where the dot starts. So the dot starts at the top. So basically, back in here, we can just set and I'll call this mouse. Yeah, I'll just call it mouse. And then for this mouse, we'll set a flex setting of top and center. And then we'll add a dot in here. So here, I'll add a div block, and we'll make this the circle. So I'll say 50 by 50. That's too big. Let's do 25 by 25, and give it the background of white. And for the radius, let's set it to 50%. When you set a perfect squared div block to 50%, it makes it a perfect circle. Okay, then I'll just add some margin from the top, something like this, and we have our dot. And I can maybe add a little bit more, something like this, maybe 50 pixels from the top. So our dot starts there. And all we have to do for this is add an interaction. So I'll go into interactions, and I'll say on page load. I like to start these animations when the page finishes loading. So yeah, that's just a personal preference. I just want to make sure everything's loaded on the site before the animation kicks in. All right, and then all we want to do here is animate the circle. So I'm going to add an element trigger. I'm going to say, oh wait, no, sorry. In the page trigger, click the plus, and then when page finishes loading, we'll start a timed animation, and I'll say mouse wheel move, or mouse circle move, something like that. Okay, and then we're just going to move it 100% down. Let's see if that works. 100, no, not 100%. We're going to move it, let's pick a pixel value. Yeah, for here we're going to pick a pixel value. So the height of this mouse is 350. So let's say, and we added 40 50 pixels of margin. So we want it to move down 300 pixels. All right. So that's just some maths there. So we'll move it down 300 pixels on the y-axis. And that went a little bit too low. So 250. Oh yeah, because the dot is 50 pixels. So we have to include that in too, I believe. So we'll just move it down 250 pixels. And let me just call this circle so stay organized with it. All right, so the circle is moving down, and as it's moving down, we also want to add an opacity animation. So click opacity, and we're just gonna bring it down to 0% and start it with the movement. So if we play, we can see it scrolls down and fades out. So how fast is it moving? It's moving pretty slow. So let's make the duration 2 seconds, and let's set the easing to ease in out. That looks nice. And all we have to do is loop it. So the animation is done, and we just click loop right here, and let's preview. Yeah, okay, so I have to add, let's see. I might have to, yeah, I have to add a beginning state, or I actually have to reset it. So for the movement, we'll say move for the circle, and we'll move it back to 0 pixels, and we'll say set the duration to 0, and then the opacity, let's add it here, set the opacity to 100%, and duration of 0, so it just resets it, and we'll start these two together. So the animation will play, and then it will reset. All right, and that will allow us to loop it. So if I preview, it goes down and does that. So we just have to reset it. I think we could also add initial states maybe, and it would reset. Yeah, let me try that. I'm just curious. Let's try adding an initial state instead, just for education purposes. So let me delete these, or actually let me undo that. I'll keep these, and I'll set these as the initial state, and let's see if it works. It does not. Okay. So yeah, we have to reset it within the interaction. So yep, just how I did it. Set the movement. After it plays, reset it, and just set the duration to 0. And then we have the animation, so it loops. All right. And then to add text, yeah, let's just add another div block, and I'll call this mouse wheel animation, or mouse wheel wrapper, mouse wrapper. How about that? And we'll put the mouse in this wrapper, and then we'll add, in this mouse wrapper, we'll add a text block, and we'll say scroll. We'll just do something like this. We'll center this, change the text to, let's do Ubuntu and white, and change the letter spacing, and add some margin. And just like that, we have a scroll animation. Yeah, so hopefully that answered the question, Abil. I can make this clonable, but yeah, I would need a super chat, because this is kind of a personal request. It's not anything specific to Webflow, but you wanted to learn how to build this. Yeah, so if we wanted to make it this small, we'd just have to adjust the sizing of everything and adjust the interaction. But I wanted to make it larger so we could all see it. But that is a pretty cool effect. I kind of like it. All right, so just to recap, I'll go over the structure. We added, you can start with the mouse wrapper, and then you can add the mouse. And for the mouse, we set it to 200 by 350, and we added a border of 3 pixels, set it to white, and we added a border radius of 100 pixels. So the width was 200, so it gave us this nice border, or this nice radius. And then for the mouse, we set it to flex, top, and center. And oh, thank you, Bill. Send me an email, and I'll email you this this project, so you can. I'll email you the read-only link to this project, so you can take a look. Yeah. Oh yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, because you said the super chat doesn't work on your end. But yeah, send that over. Yeah, and I'll definitely hook you up with this read-only link. But yeah, and I'll send it regardless. I'll just send it through after the live stream. So yeah. We set this to flex, top, center. We added the circle. We gave a margin of 50 pixels from the top. And then we animated the circle when the page finishes loading. So page load animation. And we said move this circle down 250 pixels. And then change the opacity from 100% to 0%. And we added some easing there. And then we reset it by moving the circle back to 0 pixels and set the opacity to 100 with no duration. And this allowed us to loop the animation. And then within the mouse wrapper, we added this text block and just typed in scroll, and we have the animation there. So yeah, let me just make it small, just so we have some reference for that as well. So instead of 200 by 350, I'll set it to, let's see what this person set it to here, 30 pixels by 50. So it's very small. So I'll go into Webflow, set it to 30 by 50. And then this circle is going to be very small. So like 5 by 5, maybe 7 by 7. And we can actually look in here. 8 by 8. So that circle is 8 by 8. 8 by 8. And then the margin will just say 5. Or maybe 7. Maybe 8. That looks good. And for the interaction, we just have to change the amount it moves down. So for the movement down, we'll say the height of the mouse is 50 pixels. So we're going to move it down maybe 30. Nope, that's too low. 25. Still too low. So we'll move it down 20. And the opacity situation is the same. And then for the mouse wrapper, let's set it to flex, vertical, and centered. And then for this text, let's make it a little bit, it doesn't look centered, does it? Scroll up. Okay. For this text, let's make it smaller as well. So like 12, something like that. All right. And that's it. So it's a bit smaller. And I might change the duration here because it's much smaller. So for the interaction, we'll change it to 1 second for the duration. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I might make that circle even a bit smaller. So instead of 8 by 8, I would do maybe 6 by 6. Yeah, cool. And that's pretty fast. So for the interaction, as you can see, I get pretty detailed when working with interactions. I'm going to say 1.5 for the duration. And perfect. I like that. So yeah, Amkar wrote, what do you suggest using Rem or Pixel for full build? I typically use Pixel, but there is a lot of users that say Rem is a good practice. Let's look that up. Rem and M's Webflow, and I might do another live stream on this because this question has been asked a lot already. But if we go to input values in units in Webflow, we can see. Let's see if we can find Rem units. Yeah. So Rem is relative to the font size of the body element. So I think there are benefits to using Rems. I think it's something with like using the browser's default size, I believe. And ems are relative to the parent element. So if you set 16 pixel or 16 rem to the body, and you set, I don't know, you set the font size of an element in the body to 0.5 ems, it would be 8 pixels. Excellence says rem over pixels. So I can definitely get into that. I have used rems before and ems. So here's a good example of it. So let's say the font size, the browser default is 16 pixels, like on Chrome or whatever browser you're using, and you set the font size of the body to 1.5, the font size would be 24 pixels. And there's many articles on rems and ems. Here, I don't think it goes over the benefits of it. So let's see, rems and ems. I'm sure there's plenty of information online on ems and rems and ems. But you can definitely add it in Webflow. Like I can just select this font and say, let's say I want it to be 12 pixels and the rem font size is 16. Then it would be like, so one em would be 16 pixels. So it would be like 0.8 ems, so 0.8 ems, and I could, adjust it here, 0.8, and if I publish, it would use ems. And I'm curious if I apply to the body, if I apply rem, so let's apply a specific value. So I'm going to say 2 rems. Okay, so notice what happened there. I gave the body 2 rems, so I think it gave it double the size here. If I say 1 rem, it'll just go back to the original size. So by applying a rem, you're applying the base font size to the parent element, and then if you use ems, it's going to be relative to that rem. Let's see. So pixels change with screen. Rems is adjusted for each screen, so placement and sizing are always the same relative to the screen size. Nice. It is best to use ems so your text is responsive. M is relative to parent body, so that is good for flexibility, where you want things to take the same percentage size of its parent regardless of the screen, but the layout will change per screen size. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a really good point. Excellence. Yeah, so maybe moving forward, I'll just start working with rems so we can kind of get used to that idea, because I have worked with rems and I know there's a benefit to it. Sometimes though, initially when explaining some Webflow concepts, just working with pixels is a bit easier because everyone's just used to pixels, but this goes, typography goes really in depth, and it's actually a really important part of a build. So for this build, I'll just use rems as we start adding, typography into this build, which we didn't get quite into today because we had some really good questions today. And let me see if I have another email from Joe. Hi, John. Okay, so I'm going to pick up with a project, got a form that builds and estimates the time and hour. So, Joe, is it okay if I cover it in this live stream? Is that cool? Or if not, I'll just follow up with you after the live stream. But I'm just reading it now. Yeah, so Joe, I just read your request. I just read the request, and this is something I'll follow up with you afterward. This is a really kind of personalized request, and it has to do with custom code. So I'll just follow up right after. But yeah, we're getting to the end of the stream. We covered some pretty cool things, how to create this mouse animation, and yeah, this was cool. We talked about rems and ems. I went over at the beginning. I went over how I built this animation using clip paths. We're gonna be using clip paths a lot more in these videos, and I have some really interesting ideas for clip paths. But yeah, stay tuned for a specific video on how to create this, and the design is going to be really cool. So yeah, I'm just thinking if there's anything else I want to cover. Maybe we'll just try to create this parallax effect here on the home page. Let's see how far we got. Yeah, looks all right. And I'm going to place, let's see here. Yeah, so as the screen changes size, that's going to affect. Yeah, that's why I don't like that the mountain cropped out the guy. That I don't think that was necessary. Let's see here. So we fixed the sky. Let's make it high DPI. No, that's no good. Let's see, 100%. Okay. Thank you, Excellence. Appreciate it. Let's see. So yeah, that's kind of the effect I want, where the sky stays fixed and the mountain comes in. Then we have this issue here, so I'm gonna have to, let's just try to figure this one out real quick. Maybe if I place this in a div block. No. And let's see, mountain image and grass image. So yeah, let me do something like this. I'll just remove that and remove this. And I'll set both of these to position absolute and top. Make sure this div block has a position of relative. Oh, dope. Let me check that out real quick. gentilg.com. Ooh. This is super nice. All right, cool. So yeah, I'm just checking out your site, Gentil. It's very nice. You got some nice animation. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and showcase it real quick. So this is Gentil's site, and it's very nice. This is very cool. Really like this slider up here. And then I like these hover effects. So was this built in Webflow? Let me just take a look. No, it's WordPress. But still very nice. I mean, yeah, you can get nice sites with WordPress. But yeah, hopefully these streams will help you build in Webflow. Definitely. But it's a cool site for sure. Ooh. Yeah, it's definitely cool. All right, I'll definitely check this out, Gentil. It's dope. Oh, and you have a mouse animation too. Ooh, look at that. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, so this feels like a Lottie animation here, this mouse icon. Yeah, it we have this animation to the mouse. That could be a cool thing I could cover as well. Yeah, good stuff. Nice. Yeah, check that out, everyone. GentileG.com. She's got some really good stuff. All right. Very nice. I'll spend a bit more time with it after the stream. It looks really cool. Nice. So yeah, I think we're ending near the end of the stream. Let's see. What am I doing here? Oh yeah, so position. I want to set both of these to position absolute and top. Excuse me. Did that work? Yeah, and then I can move this grass image down. Let me set it to the bottom actually. Grass image, mountain image. This is set to relative. Why is the grass image on top? And this div block. All right, so div block. Let's move it down. Oh, position relative. The mountain and the sky image is set to sticky. And this. Yeah, let's try this. So the sky image, we have the div block. All right, so yeah, I'll play around with this. It's not quite doing what I want it to do. So maybe I have to apply position sticky to the hero background. All right, just so I'm not scrolling too much in this live stream, I'm gonna come back to this and we'll have something prepared for tomorrow. Oh, I think position, so div block, the sky image should stay in place. Yeah, but it's not, okay. Div block. Yeah, it works like this. Actually, and 100%, 100%, and let me just set it to relative, and relative. All right, so I'll come back to this. We won't spend too much time on this parallax effect. All right, Abil wrote, I always wanted some parallax effect on my website, but it always seemed complicated for me. You are making this parallax effect much easier. Yeah, this is kind of a parallax effect in a way. Like, we only have one object moving, but it still makes it look parallax because one object is stationary while another one is moving, which gives us that kind of parallax feel. Yeah, so what I think I'm going to do in this case is save this image as one image, and that's just going to save us a lot of kind of headaches. If this image didn't have this guy cropped out here, we could create a much more unique parallax effect where the mountains are moving at a different speed than the guy here. So everything looks like it's moving, or everything would look like it has like a 3D depth to it, or like, yeah, like parallax, or like a I don't know if you've seen like one of those, I'm not gonna say Chinese puppet shows, but where they have like the dragons and stuff and everything's like overlaid and they have these cool effects going. Like if this image didn't have the guy cropped out, we could create something more along those lines. But for now, in Figma, I'm just going to, yeah, thank you, Excellence. Appreciate it. Yeah, enjoy the rest of the day for sure. Nice. And yeah, so what I'll do is I'll save these two images together. Yeah, so let's see how that looks. And I don't think I saved them together actually. Yeah, they're still separate. So let me group these, group selection, and then I'll export this selection. Let's do 2 times export. And nice. So now we have this as just one image. Cool. So we'll go back into Webflow, and I might have to compress the image again. So get info. Yeah, that's huge. That's too big. 4.8 megabytes. Don't ever add an image that's 4.8 megabytes to your site. And I'm just going to compress it. I resized it, so I'm just going to compress it. I don't normally speak in absolutes like that, but you never want to add an image that's 4.8 megabytes to the site. That would really affect the load time of the site. All right. So let's see here. So I've reduced the size. 589, that's okay. Not great, but it's okay. So go ahead and add that in there. And then I'll just delete this image, and we'll just replace this mountain image with this one we just added. So now when we scroll, this guy stays in place and we have this going on here. So this will be cool. I just have to move it up a bit more. It's a little bit low. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll set this to a position of absolute, and we'll just move it down. Move it down 25%. Cool. All right. Sky image, mountain image. So I guess when setting something to position sticky, yeah, it doesn't, I can't set this, the other elements have to be a position relative, I guess. Maybe that's something new I'm learning. I haven't used position sticky too much. Here, I'll just use margin. Don't really like using margin this way. Feels a little bit hacky, but it works. Negative 50%, or negative 35%. Yeah, that's gonna have to do for now. Yeah, so we just built this section, and the next thing we'll do is add this text at the top and the menu and all these different elements. But yeah, this is just gives us something to do while no one has questions, or just something for me to build in the background and for us to continue to learn Webflow. And as other questions come in, those take precedence. But this is what we will be building during the live streams this week. We're definitely going to learn a lot of new things in Webflow. As you can see, I'm already learning a few things with the position sticky. But yeah, I think I'm going to end the stream here. We covered a lot of very cool things. This mouse interaction, this interaction. This was using custom code. We got a little bit into this build, so we're going to build out this Figma file. If you want this Figma file, it is, here, let me zoom out. I'll leave a link in the chat actually, so you can grab it. This Figma file was from, yeah, right here. So I'll post this here in the chat and you can just download it. It's the first one here, and you can look at other Figma files that they have. We actually built this one in last week's live stream, or the last few weeks of live stream. But yeah, just having fun building in Webflow. I'm not a huge fan so far of this just because the image quality here is really low and I'm not exactly sure why. I don't know if I can get it to higher quality, but here in this Figma file, yeah, it looks like this image isn't good quality in the Figma file either. Typically when I build a site, what makes it enjoyable is working with good assets. Working with good assets, yeah, makes a build much more enjoyable, because if you're building a site and the assets are all grainy and distorted and bad quality, well, then you're not going to really have a lot of fun building it, because you're already thinking, well, it doesn't look great, you know, like the image quality is really bad. Like, so yeah. And if it does bother me too much, then we'll think of something else, or maybe I'll go to Unsplash and crop a few images myself. Maybe we'll learn how to use Photoshop a bit more. And yeah, I mean, I do know how to crop images in Photoshop, so doing something like this in Photoshop would not be difficult. Like, we can go to Unsplash and just get like our own images. Person on a mountain, right? Yeah, so this could work. Like, any of these could work, and we could create like a really unique parallax effect. Yeah, so maybe let's do that. We'll work with some of these. Yeah, we'll see. I'll try to spend some time cropping, and maybe we can have some fun with Photoshop. For sure. I'm trying to think. Yeah. Cool. I'm just trying to get some ideas here. But yeah, we'll look at that tomorrow. Yeah, thanks for the passion for the product and sharing it with us. Absolutely, Joseph. Nice. Can we get the assets? Yeah, so Amkar, I just left the link. Hopefully it showed up to sleekui.com. It can be found here. So if the link didn't show up in chat, it's here. It's sleekui.com/free Figma website templates. And then you can just copy or duplicate the project. It's the first one here. Just duplicate it into your Figma account. All right. So yeah, if this image is just really bad quality. If I decide not to work with this one, then we'll work with Photoshop tomorrow to crop these images and create an even more unique parallax effect. All right, so cool. I think I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. Joseph, I will follow up with you right after this live stream. And Bill, I'll follow up with you as well. All right, everyone, have a good rest of the day. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'll send it to you, Bill. Just give me 1 second. I'll send that over. Yeah, have a good rest of the day, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Time, and we'll continue building in Webflow. All right, have a great evening. Thank you.